Okay guys, how you doing today? I'm going to be fixing a Milwaukee M12 Electric Ratchet. This one's a 3/8 drive, and I broke the crankshaft in it. As you can see here, this little piece, this is what actually turns it. It's pretty small, and it snapped off of the main body right there. So that kind of sucks, but it's a pretty cheap part. I'll put the part numbers in the description. I just got these from eBay. They say they're genuine Milwaukee parts, so hopefully that's what they are, and then we can get this thing put back together and it'll work. I'll show you here real quick one of the pieces that I lost, and that is why I had to buy an extra piece that I wouldn't have needed to fix this otherwise. So I'll show you this and explain why it is pretty easy to lose. Okay, so if you can see, let me grab some needle nose pliers here so I can grab one of these. All right, so on this, there are these little dimples in there, and they come out like this, and they're pretty small, but they have a little spring around them, and I am missing one of those. I dropped it on the floor and couldn't find it, but this washer covers them up like that. So I actually had to buy another drive because I'm missing one of those, but I've got this one now as a spare part. So let's see here if we can tear this thing the rest of the way apart. Some of these main screws, they take a T10 Torx, and we'll try to take these out real quick and get this thing opened up. The other thing that you will need is a Torx that is even smaller than a 10, which I don't have, but a 5/64 flathead screwdriver bit fits in there very well and will turn the screws. So that's what I'm going to use to take out these other screws that are smaller, which I've already got them part of the way out because I've had this apart already to see if I could do it, see if I even needed to order parts or if I was better off just buying a new one, because I did spend about $30 on parts, or maybe it's about 50 bucks actually, 50 bucks of parts to fix a $100 tool. So, but I do have some spare parts now, so if I ever broke off the drive, I'd have another one of those. But the crankshaft is the main part that I broke. I actually just lost a piece that is not a part number. You cannot buy it. Oops. Okay, so we got those screws out. We're gonna take these little ones out of the handle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to get to the 5th one, you have to take the trigger off, which it is just on there with a little pin, and you have to drive that pin out, and I had a little bitty nail that I pushed it out with. So we will get these little screws here out. They're actually pretty loose, so I'm just turning the bit with my fingers here to get these little guys out, and I'm going to set them over here on my paper towel with the other parts, because I didn't put them all the way back in when I took it apart the last time. I'm actually going to use the handle. This one's in there a little better. So let's see. There we go, that's another one. All right, we've just got a couple more, 3 more actually. Maybe that one's not going to come out of the handle, but this screwdriver bit fits really well into these Torx. It's just the right size to go across the 6 point, or 2 of the 6 points. I just got lucky that that worked. Otherwise, I was going to have to find something smaller than a T10. Oh, and actually, those are different lengths. I should have paid attention to that. But hopefully, we'll be all right. Figure it out again, because I did the same thing the last time I took it apart. All right, so we got one cover off, and then now you can see the inside of the ratchet. This is the whole board, and this is the trigger there. This is the that's the lock for the trigger, and this is what we're going to be getting into, because we need to get back inside this to put the new crankshaft in there, which is over here in this sack. I can open that up and get that out. So we're doing all of this just to put this little guy back in there. It's really not very big, but that's what's broke. And here's the new drive. It's still in the plastic because it's got extra pieces in there, so I don't want to lose those. So I'm not going to get into that yet, because that is the last thing to put back in. So now that we've got it all down to this point, we can pick this up, and we can take this little pin out of here, out of the side. Let me make sure you guys can see this. So there's a little pin there, and you just need to pull that out, because that aligns the tool. So now that we've done that, we can take it the rest of the way apart, and all the planetary gears fell off, but they're down inside there. But we're gonna have to get some of that stuff out of there anyway. So I can't remember how I put this back together, but we'll figure it out. So we are going to now that we took that piece out, we're going to go inside here, and we're going to put the cam all the way down in there. Is what we're going to try. And maybe I should find some... I'm going to go get a little bit of wheel bearing grease, because it's synthetic, and put that in. Okay, so I grabbed some Valvoline grease. I wish I had some white lithium, but hopefully this Valvoline grease will keep this thing working. I just realized that this part, it has nothing on it at all. So I thought maybe it should go back together with a small amount of grease, because there is grease inside this tool. Okay. Oh, I found it. I was missing a piece. This piece is very important. This little piece goes inside the head, because I believe that I need to get this lined up inside this body with the cam. I think I got it to go together. So we will now try to put the so that the cam is The cam is all the way down there. Let's see if you can see it. The cam is all the way down there. Get the light. So that cam is all the way down there, and this piece is in there, and it has to slip over to the head of the cam, which is what broke off. And there's a little bitty ball that goes on there because that's how this piece actually turns. So now we need to put these planetaries back onto this and slide this whole thing back together and get it lined up. This is probably the hardest part of the whole assembly. So I'll try to get that done. I don't know how much of that I'll be able to show. Okay. I believe I did it. So now I'm going to put the pin, that small pin that I took out, put it back in. This all just slipped together, and I just twisted this back and forth on the motor, and it just all fell together. And so when you set the body back in there, the plastic here will keep that pin from falling back out. It has a notch for it. So okay, I believe I've got that all set back together, and now we should be able to just put the other half back on. Okay, it's all back together. The LED's in the right spot. So we're going to put the main screws back into the bigger piece up here. Because these bigger screws hold the motor in place. And they're all four the same size, but I think, in my opinion, they are the most important ones. The other ones just hold the plastic body together. Okay, so we got 3 lengths of screws here. One screw did not come out, so I know where it's supposed to be. Okay, because it goes way down there in the handle. So, actually, we've got 3 longer ones and a short one. And I'm going to assume the shorter screw goes underneath the trigger here at the end. Okay. Now I think these longer screws go in the rest of it, in the other 3 holes, because they're actually all the same length. Okay. Okay, that's tight. And be careful tightening these screws because they are in plastic. But they don't turn very hard. Here, I'll turn this light on. That may help a little. Let's see. here's the last screw. Okay, that's tightened up. Now we'll make sure these are still pretty tight. Okay, now we'll try to put the new drive in. So let's get it opened. And it even comes with a new clip. So that is nice. And hopefully I can give this thing a little squeeze while I put that clip in. There we go. Okay. It is back in there. As you can see, that seat, I guess you can't see that C-clip. There's a C-clip like this one that goes around this. You'll have to have taken it out to have taken this apart. I'm sorry I didn't have this all together to show you how it comes apart, but I showed you how it goes back together. It's pretty easy to take apart, but you just take that out and then this whole assembly will pop out. But the big thing is you do not want to lose those little bitty spring-loaded things on the other side of this washer. That is the big thing because it rolls on those. So I didn't put any grease back in that, but that'll probably be okay. Trigger back on. So here is the pin. It just goes right in there. So we're gonna actually give it just a squeeze with the channel locks here. Just shove it back through. Okay, so there's that little pin. It's back in there holding the handle on. Trigger works. The locks. So now let's put a battery in it and see if it'll spin. So there's the battery in. Seems to be good to go. You can see how fast that cam turns because it has to spin around there so quick. So I'm going to try to put a little bit of grease down in there where that cam is. I'm going to try to use the nail to poke a little bit inside of here. where the cam actually runs. So we'll do that, and let's see there. Yeah. That amount that I put in there, it basically made it disappear. So I'm gonna get there we go. I think it's all ready to go again and to turn bolts. Now I will say this ratchet hasn't been the most, it doesn't break everything loose. Some stuff it does, some stuff it surprises you. Sometimes you can give it a run and start by spinning it and then putting it on what you're trying to turn, and it will break it loose that way. It's kind of a little technique that my friend showed me with the snap-on ones, that it'll turn something loose if you put it on there while it's spinning. Sounds like a good way to strip it out, but trust me, it does work. And if you ever try it on something that maybe you're not so afraid to strip out, you'll do it, and you'll just start doing it and be like, oh wow, that's so easy, that, and it gets so much more stuff loose like that than you would have ever thought of. But got it cleaned up a little bit. It looks pretty good. Still, it's had a decent amount of use. I wouldn't say I use it a ton, but I don't use it every day either. But for the fact that these things are way more disposable compared to the snap-on ones, and if I broke those parts for the snap-on one, I may have had a $200 bill on my $300 tool. Well, I only had a $100 tool, in which this tool you can now get by itself for around, I think around $75. So it is significantly cheaper. Oh wait, what am I doing here? This is trash. Let's put these extra parts in this bag, so if I ever need to fix anything on it again, maybe I'll have some pieces to do it with. We'll just put that back and clean this little nail off. I'll just put this in the toolbox because it's kind of a tool now. But thank you guys for watching my Milwaukee ratchet repair video. I myself had never seen one, and I've got a big line of these tools. I've got the flashlight, I've got a drill, I've got a hex impact, and if I can get it out, I have a 3/8 impact, and I also have one of the 4.0 batteries that came with the drill. So it's a pretty nice battery. It does last a really long time. And I use this impact a lot, and this impact really surprises you for how small it is. It does take lots of stuff loose. It doesn't quite do lug nuts, but the mid-torque one is plenty good for vehicle lug nuts, I'm sure, because the high torque one should break everything loose. I've also got a grinder. I'll run over here and we'll show you that real quick. Okay, so I'll walk over here and I'll show you my grinder real quick that I've got. I've got a M18 5 1/4 grinder. I like it that you don't have to have a cord running to it, and when you're running around just doing stuff, and it's got a another shield for it so that you can put cutoff wheels in it, and you can just take that, switch the blade, and you can go run somewhere and cut off a bolt that's a decent amount thick. Yeah, so that's nice. So if you need to just cut some bolts off of something that you can get to that are pretty thick and you don't want to haul the torch around, well, there you go. That'll work. But I cleaned it up a bit. Looks a lot better. But like I said, I will put the parts that I use to fix this, the numbers in the description, and I bought them off of eBay as genuine Milwaukee parts, so hopefully they really are. But seems to be ready to go again, and hopefully it'll last a little longer now. And I know how mean I shouldn't get with it, that if you can't break it loose, you better get out of the breaker bar and then put this back on it, because you'll break this. But you will turn it out with this. You do not have to, if it's too tight that you can't turn it with your fingers, this will turn it. Oh, and there goes the UPS man. I think my paintballs are here. So I'm going to call that a day. And if you guys would please hit the like button, share this, and subscribe. I will make more videos if I ever break my Milwaukee tools in the future. And I'll try to give some more reviews on them. They are good tools. I have not had a single problem with them except for this one that I did break. And I feel like that was my fault, because it is just a 3/8. And when I put it on and tried to get loose, it was tight. I will say that. It was really tight. I had to get a 2-foot breaker bar on it to get it loose. And it was pretty tight with that yet. So I guess that's about all I've got to say.